Nigeria's unemployment rate, as at the end of 2020, rose to 33.3% from 27.1%, recorded as of Q2 2020. This indicates about 23,187,389, or 23.2 million if you round it up, Nigerians remain unemployed. Underemployment rate in the reference period, however, dropped from 28.6%, recorded as at the second quarter 2020, to 22.8% in Q4 2020. Youth unemployment rose to 42.5%.
Well, Arise business editor and host of Arise Exchange, BOASON OMOFAYE, joins us now. And we also have TILEWA ADEBOJI, Chief Executive Officer at the CFG Advisory. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on Newsday.
My pleasure.
Let me begin with you, BOASON. We barely exited a recession, a pandemic-induced or exacerbated recession, if you like. However, this inflation rates we're seeing is the highest in 4 years. And of course, the unemployment figures we've also seen alarming. But should there be any surprises here, considering the impact of the pandemic? BOASON, to you, and then TILEWA, you can pick it up from there.
Well, I think we had what you call an underlying problem. If I can use the COVID-19 scenario, those who are most at risk are those who have underlying health issues. So we have an economy that has underlying health issues before the pandemic. So pandemic is just what gets us undressed in public. And now we're beginning to see all the numbers coming through. Because if you look at our unemployment and underemployment figures, if you roll it back to 2019 or 2018 before the pandemic, we're talking about something close to 30% already, 27, thereabout, 25, 27%. So if you go back 3 years ago, our unemployment at about 25, 27% was in the water. And we kept adding more population. We kept getting deeper into the morass, which is insecurity. We were getting more into less productivity. Exports started to decline. Infrastructure decay in those critical areas that can fast-track our productivity and logistics kept going backwards. So perhaps we need the COVID-19 year to actually unveil how deep mess the country's fiscal and monetary position had always been.
All right, TILEWA, the CPI inflation rate is up. He talked about security there. How much of an impact has the insurgency in the north affected food prices? And how do we turn this around?
Well, you can focus on food price inflation, and that has been consistently high. But I think before we start, I think it's important for us to understand what type of inflation we have in Nigeria. The general conception of inflation is that we say too much money chasing too few goods. That is a classic definition of what you will say demand push inflation. But what we have, demand push inflation, what we have in Nigeria is cost push inflation, and food prices are the ones that are exacerbating the situation. Of course, with the challenges in the northwest of Nigeria, we've said that the food basket has been affected, but production has shifted. There have been some challenges with the herdsmen clashes. But at the same time, there's been some significant intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria to be able to take a look at anchor borrower scheme, to be able to provide good rates for that. So clearly, I think the inflation is driven by food prices. There's no doubt about that. And the next line item is transportation. So yes, the security situation has been a part of it, but it has been a trend for the last 5 years. So there are really no surprises, because if you go back to 2017, you find out that inflation was about this. Between 2016 and 2017, inflation went from about under 10% to about 18%. It was brought back down to 12%, and then we're now back up at 18%. So if you take a look at this chart that we're seeing that had inflation control in 2016, and it went up, we brought it down, and now we're back to where we were in 2017. So a lot of work needs to be done. So what we did between 2017 and 2019 to bring inflation down, I think we need to go back to that.
Okay. BOASON, I probably would throw this at both of you, but kicking off with BOASON, I like your analogy of underlying health problems. So staying with that medical analogy, and if you were to practice triage and to try and prioritize which you would tackle first, what would that be, considering that some countries have had the approach of either a stimulus bill or a furlough scheme? How would you go about prioritizing our challenges, looking at them as they are currently?
Well, my point is this, the economy was in an accident, in the manner of speaking. We need the paramedics, and these have to be professional paramedics and not the area boys who will be pouring some oil and whatever on a bleeding individual who just had a car accident. So we need folks who understand what they're doing. We need paramedics who are quick and good, professional, and who are not treating the patient because they want to put some hands or fingers in their back pocket to find out if they have some currencies there or they want to steal their phones. So we need professional paramedics to handle the emergency situation that the economy currently is, or that we have waded ourselves into. Then the second point is take the economy to the hospital, into the intensive care units, and then begin to have professional physicians who will attend to the economy in a very urgent and selfless manner, and who will deploy everything. Now, you're not asking whether these medical practitioners are of any ethnic or tribal origin, whether they come from the north or the west. You need paramedics, economic paramedics, who will lift the economy out of recession or the problem that we're in. So it is not about the man who is there. It's about what the man who is there is doing. And that's the whole it. And I go by the parable of the talents. Give the talents to those who can make it work. If anybody buries his talents, then let him get severely punished. You cannot run an economy in which we can't take fast and furious decisions that are in the best interest of everybody, of the Commonwealth. We keep making policies and decisions and actions, and everybody down the line keep taking decisions that fit the size of his or her pocket or foreign bank account or domiciliary accounts. It will never work that way. We've tried everything. And I think by the latest unemployment and underemployment data, we should know that we are now in the water. And the only way to go from here is not going to be good for any one of us. And that is the truth.
All right, TILEWA, to you, stay with that analogy. Can we vaccinate our way out of this, considering that vaccination is now picking up and the impact of the pandemic on the economy? Or is this beyond COVID-19?
I love what you just said. Right now, we don't even know.
Although that was for TILEWA, BOASON. BOASON, we'll come back to you, but let TILEWA take this one.
First of all, I think what I want to say now is the fact that I don't think we should mince any more words. Nigeria is in a serious economic crisis. We're in a situation that is far worse than a recession. And what people are not saying is the fact that the situation in Nigeria now is what we call stagflation. Stagflation means that, first of all, the economy is not growing. Second of all, you have a rapid and significant rate of increase in the rate of inflation. And the third aspect of stagflation is the fact that you have high unemployment. Now, those three characteristics are present in Nigeria's economy today. So stagflation is a very serious economic state. And I don't want to mince words. I think we should go beyond parables and reflections. We have an economic crisis on our hands, and we have to decide how we're going to manage that. Youth unemployment, when 50% of your youth are unemployed, then you have a problem. The economy grew at minus 1.9% last year. So the government really needs to take a look at efforts that need to solve this problem. And one of the biggest challenges we have is the fact that 90% of our revenues are going towards debt service. There is a current violation of the Central Bank Act. There's a current violation of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. So even though we're in a pandemic, we need to have a national economic recovery plan beyond what we're seeing, because we're in a crisis situation. And this involves a lot of supply side solutions in terms of privatization and taking a look at reducing the size of governments. The judiciary has to take the cut. The legislature has to take the cut. Of course, the executive also has to take cuts in their spending. So we need to see major structural reforms. And lastly, a lot of infrastructure invested in, such as the Abuja railway line, we need to start charging money on railways to be able to at least cover the cost of running those expenditure, and toll gates have to go to the highways to be able to get revenues to maintain this infrastructure.
All right, thank you, Tilo. BOASON, just very briefly, the WTO DGs here in Nigeria, she talked about balance of trade and then transiting from fossil fuel. What's your sense of her meeting with the central bank? Briefly.
Well, there's a whole lot we need to do, but we need to find a way to unpack the travel bags and find out how did we ever get what we have in the bag. Whether it is trade balance and whatever. Look, the latest trade report shows that we're not simply productive and productive in the real type of goods and services that can command high-end dollars. One of these phones or little gadgets costs about $1,500. We don't have any goods in Nigeria that cost that much. This is Samsung. It's produced in South Korea. $1,500. If you look at Apple, $2,000. Apple Mac Pro, computers. Now, we don't produce anything that commands real export value. Not yam, not cassava exported to our brothers in London and in the US. No.
I thought we export yam.
Yeah, we need to export products that have high-end FX value.
You're saying not yam, okay.
That has high FX value. Something that is competitive. Look, Rwanda had $1.8 million revenue in 1 week exporting coffee. 1 week, $1.8 million. Uganda is building a new honey factory that will generate 4,000 workers when it's completed. Kenya, as we speak right now, is deep into agriculture. Ghana wants to stop export of cocoa beans to Switzerland and start doing beneficiation in Accra and in Kumasi and elsewhere in the country. Ivory Coast is taking the same decision. We need to take fast and furious decisions without looking at anybody's face.
We didn't have time to ask you because it's wanted to talk to problems, and I think it's to talk to solutions. All right, thank you so much, TILEWA and BOASON OMOFAYE there.